your eye on the digital clock on the left. When the ball reaches the bottom of the staff, that crowd is going to go crazy. Happy New Year!
Oh yeah, now we're really getting into it. Welcome everyone and future me. Welcome all to 1980. This marks the start of one of the most glazed, one of the most LARPed, most widely nostalgicized decades ever. The golden age of arcade video games, the NES, Sega, the gaming crash, the transition into 16-bit, so many things are gonna happen this decade. But let's tone it down for a bit, since getting here is gonna take some time. And there's plenty of good and probably even more shit to cover before we get there. So let's take our eyes off the distant future for a moment and let's look at the current year. And you know what? The decade actually kicked off with a considerable amount of happenings. Gaming continued making record profits, with Atari obtaining 44% of the market share of the home console market in the USA, which, to be fair, is not a big surprise when you consider its competition. The Electronic Games, which was one of the first dedicated video game magazines published in the US, hosted one of the first video game awards ceremonies as well. But more than just boring shit like that, new companies also joined the fight. Like Brotherhood and Sierra Online Systems, companies that are respectively well known for games such as this. And the 80s start with a whole slew of new hardware as well, like the Intellivision? Yeah, turns out I was technically wrong in the last video, as Mattel's Intellivision was officially nationwide released only in 1980. But anyway, some other big headlines. Let's get into them. Tandy swings into action in the computer class with the first version of the Tandy color computer, cutely nicknamed Coco. The Sinclair's CX80, the original CX series computer, comes out in the UK and spreads to other places in Europe from there. It gains a lot of popularity for being extremely cheap, even if more limited than computers like the Apple II or what the Commodore 64 would be. Okay, that was a whole lot of everything, but the most important thing in these videos is always this: what about the games? Well, that's what I'm here for, and that's what you're here for as well, future me. Let's hop right into the 2435. How many games did I play this year? 23 games I played from 1980. But first, naturally, we're gonna talk about the games I did not play but I wanna mention. Actually, first, let's discuss something you might notice in these videos, and it's a trend that I accidentally play ports of arcade games, or that I play ports released in later years instead of the arcade game, since I can't get it to work, or I can't find it, or something like that, for one reason or another. And most of the time I'm going to move those ports into the responding years, such as a 1983 port is going to be in the 1983 video. However, sometimes I'm too lazy to do that. And you'll notice a few examples of such games in this video. But in this year, for example, Battlezone and Berserk were both arcade games I could not get working properly. Thus I whisked them into the 1983 and 1982 episodes respectively. Now, let's get into the honorable mentions, or whatever the fuck you wanna call this. So first up, we have Sea Battle. It's an RTS game made by Mattel for the new Intellivision, in which players try to invade each other with their respective fleets. This is the first game that I've seen marked as an RTS, and it kind of looked interesting, and so I wanted to try it. But, yeah, it resulted in a big nothing burger, so I thought I'd give it a mention at least, since it looked kind of cool. But the real kicker here in this year is The Prisoner, which was an Apple II adventure game made by Edgeware, which has a lot of psychological elements in it. In this game you're basically a former spy and you've quit, but you have been abducted into this weird, isolated fucking Epstein Island, which seems like your own personal prison, and the island's authorities are trying to do everything they can to get you to slip up and reveal your secrets. So it feels like every character and location in the game is out to get your reason for resigning. And what's your reason for resigning? Well, at the start of the game, you are given a 3-digit number signifying that reason, and you must never give it up. Ever. And you need to travel the island, find clues on how to escape, and do everything you can so you can get the hell out of there. It has inventory, changing graphic style, statistics, stuff like that. Honestly, a very complex adventure game, and it seemed in concept very interesting. Like, I think the game actually fakes crashing and asks you to give the number so you can stop it from crashing, and that too is a trick the system uses to get you to slip up. It's crazy. However, it really seems fucking obtuse, annoying and slow, and I got adventure game PTSD from the previous episode, so I skipped it. But I might revisit this one later since it seems so interesting. And I don't really have time in this video to talk about everything, but there's also all of these games that I considered playing, but in the end decided against it for one reason or another. Now! Let's sink our teeth into the real meat of the episode. We're not getting any younger anyway. Number 23. Challenge. Let's see what this year first has in store for us. What? What the fuck is challenge? Oh. Yeah, I forgot about this game. I found this game in one of my old documents from years before, and it seems like Past Me liked it. Well, let's see what Past Me really has to say about this game. It has horrible sound design, but it's also kind of nice. They have music and the Frogger-style gameplay. Well, I guess I just like it. I found it pretty fun. Well... Yeah, holy shit, what the fuck did Past Me really think? Like, what the hell was I smoking? Yeah, in this Funnyvision game, you are a duck. You go through this maze, avoid these racing animal things, and you have to time your movement all the while you listen to this melody that is at first kind of nice, but it turns so mind-bendingly annoying when you keep fucking dying and being stuck in the same position. This game is one of the worst rage baits. That doesn't try to be a rage bait game. And it forced me to edit the script after finishing it, so yeah, just fuck this game F tier. Number 22. Adventure in Serenia.
That dick.
Dig. That makes no sense to me. Dig rock. Dig scorpion. Fly.
Lift, now lift, now lift.
Lift rock. A scorpion behind the rock has stung you. You are dead.
Nice. Oh, fun.
Yeah. Probably one of the worst adventure game experiences I've ever had. And it's the first, or among the first Sierra Online adventure games, so it makes sense. But this is so comically unresponsive and so fuck you in its design that it made me laugh. Like, I don't want to talk too much about it. I'll just say it's F tier, and the only reason why I broke my oath of not playing adventure games is because I've played other Sierra games before with a fellow scholar of gaming and wanted to do it again, but yeah, after this shit show, I'll definitely stop playing new adventure games. Let's just say that much.
Mitä sä oot tästä pelistä? Mitä? Right!
Tiedätkö mitä mieltä mä oon tästä pelistä? Number 21. Mooncresta. Now here we have another goddamn fixed shooter, shoot 'em up arcade game set in space. But this time it's made by Jordan Nichibutsu. More Japan slop space shooters, and it's drumroll please! Past Me finished this up. I really don't want to say anything about this game.
Well, it's an insane rage bait of a game. It's not an exaggeration to say that I hate everything about this game, from the firing to the sounds to the movement. It's a super shit F tier, and I'm surprised if there will be any worse games than this.
Well, be surprised, Past Me. Number 20. Crazy Climber. Now here's one of the big hits of the year. This is another Jordan Nichibutsu game for the arcades, just like Mooncresta, which would explain why they are both down here. Well, not really. The original game probably wasn't bad, but holy smokes. Past me, please tell me you have something more positive to say than I will. Well, is it just me, or was it really buggy? Sometimes I couldn't move at all. I don't really care for how you move either. Though it's worth to mention that it's different to other stuff out there at the time, and it's meant to be immersive, and maybe with a better controller it would be good. Well, of course not. Yeah, I really don't want to talk about this one for too long, since I'm just sad. I mean, this looked really fun, but I was just disappointed. I think maybe with the original cabinet, it probably was a good game and controlled well, but here, with the keyboard, it feels so shit. Controls this bad are like a breed of their own. Like, I don't think I've played many games, or maybe any, that play as shit as this. Everything feels so unreliable and janky. It's like trying to jam in a key into a broken lock. I get exhausted thinking about this game just after. Number 19. Pac-Man. Well, look who it is, the big yellow ball of shit. Let me tell you a story. A fairy tale to fall asleep to because it's so boring. A tale about a yellow piece of shit that ate and ate until it ate even its own game quality. What lovely rage bait. Now, you know Pac-Man. It's Namco's original Golden Goose, or, well, ball in this case, I guess. Probably one of the most recognizable games of all time, and definitely one of the highest grossing ones, at least in arcades, and among the biggest games and biggest hits of the 80s. Everyone knows Pac-Man. Everyone loves Pac-Man. You eat balls, you travel the maze, avoid the ghosts, sometimes you get the big balls and you can eat the ghosts for a bit. People love Pac-Man and want to see it at the top. But you know what I think? I think that it's high-key ass! And my reason for that is very simple. A truth nuke that will shatter your... There's no such thing. I just really don't like it. I just hate the gameplay because... Fundamentally, I hate it because I feel like I'm doing something impossible. I just have to eat the bits before the ghosts get to me. But the speed at which they corner you, the speed it takes to eat the bits, your own movement speed, the parts that allow you to fight back being so rare... I think it's a combination of your own inability to fight back and the time it takes to beat a level and the competence of the ghost smirking your ass. Like, I don't feel the thrill of escape while running away. I don't get the joy of fighting back. It feels like I'm getting nothing from this game. I just feel like I'm a rat scurrying around until my inevitable death. And it's not even good horror. It's just like depressing. And that is, in essence, why I really don't like Pac-Man and Pac-Man style games. However... The quality of the game in its visual presentation and, you know, the lack of bugs and stuff is also undeniable. Therefore, I'd really feel bad putting this legendary game in F tier just because of my spite. And maybe because I suck. It's still gonna be controversial, but I'm only going to put it into the E tier. Number 18! Video Pinball. Oh, yep, we're back to pinball. This is some more of that Atari slop made by Atari for their own console. So yeah, run it past me. Well, it has some stuff to like about it. It really does. It's nice and all, but I just think it's simultaneously low on variety and really, really fast and somehow also really slow. Because how much input you have, that being almost none. Well, yeah, so let me articulate this better. It's like, imagine bad pinball. Just imagine a shit pinball game. I don't care for the sounds and visuals, and it's quite boring since you just watch the ball do shit. You never get a chance for input, and when you do, the fucking ball goes past the speed of light. It's crazy. Like, especially compared to something like GB, which came years before this. This really shines as a shit pinball game. So yeah, I'm a hater, and because I dislike it enough, I'll put it in the E tier. Right next to the yellow Packer. Number 17. Skiing. It's a game I played muted, so I really can't say anything about the sounds, though considering the track record for the Atari 2600, I'd say it's likelier than not I was spared from a symphony of shit. Now, before I get more into that or any kind of speculation or talking about the game, let's let past me talk about this Activision game. Well, is it sloppy? Yes.
Is it simple with little intricacies only? Yes. Is it brain rot? Kinda. But is it actually just fun? Hell to the yes! Funnest experience so far. Well,
Funnest game so far. Yeah, I don't know. Skiing, I would like to say the idea is good and I don't really hate it. I really like games where you ride down snowy hills, but I kind of dislike this game. It feels like the moving downhill feels shit. It's either slow or when you try to speed up it or turn around or something, it becomes so slow and jank. It feels so bad. But it's not like this is like super shit either. Maybe this is just my zoomer brain rotted brain that just can't handle the slowness. But I really couldn't glean anything from the game other than it felt bad to play. So to the D tier it goes. Number 16. Stratovox. This is the Stratovox, another slop space shooter coming out of Japan again. Though this time it's made by Sun Electronics instead of the usual suspects. But, you know, this time it actually has an interesting presentation. I mean, look at the colors. It's very artistic compared to the usual space graphics of the time. Anyway, there are some pretty cool things here outside of that too. Like, I think this is one of the first games with voice acting I have played. It doesn't sound too horrible. I mean, it kind of does, but not really. And there are some sort of nice things. Like, there's just one problem. I like when my games are fun. That's a pretty fundamental part of games. Good game. But this game doesn't have it. This is a basic format for slop space shooters that works for what it is, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it super much, but I feel like the shooting is just too slow and the enemies are too quick, and the brutality of the enemy difficulty really turned me off. Wait, could this be another example of me not liking a game because I suck? No, I don't do that. No, I wouldn't ever rate a game shit just because I don't know how to play. Yeah, D tier. Number 15. Elmon. Elmon. What the fuck does Elmon even mean? Huh. Yeah, this is Donald Brown's interesting little game project for the Apple II. Elmon is very interesting, since it's more of a game creation system than a game, and it functions more like that as well. It is similar to MUDs and text adventures, but it has plenty of RPG elements those games don't have. Essentially, you start off in a sort of main hub world, in text form, where you make a character you wish to make that feels surprisingly good for a game this old. Not too different what you will see in something like Wizardry in the next year. After this, what happens is kind of up to you, as the game consists of airmons, which are basically their own worlds or quests that anyone can write for the game, and then they can be shared to other people. But at least in the version I played, there was already a beginner game installed, and I dabbled in that. Once you load an airmon for your character to play, it turns into your basic 70s to 80s dungeon crawler RPG. The combat is simple with a few commands, and there are also traps that are really fucking annoying, and all kinds of things that may make you feel like the game hates you. I mean, there is a dynamic side to the gameplay too, where you have to handle the economy without being overwhelmed, which is kind of fun. And the biggest thing this game has, which really boosts it up in the ratings, is it lets you erase what you type. That's insane and completely new for me. Like all the previous fucking text games, you just have to, if you mistype anything, you just have to enter the mistyped thing and write it all over again. But here, you can erase shit, and that's crazy. Probably one of the best gaming innovations ever. So anyway, I don't really want to give you the wrong impression here. This is still a clusterfuck which feels incredibly slow. You constantly miss, the game hates you. It's just more charming and it allows for more of a sandbox experience and hates you a bit less than the other adventure games. So this is why this is going into the D tier, not any lower. Lowest lane. Number 14. Rally X. Well, yeah, it's like Pac-Man, but I don't know, the sound design and stuff is worse? Maybe it's more fun, and I need to give it more time to fester, but I'm not the hugest fan. Maybe it's because I just don't know how to escape faster than the enemies, like in Pac-Man. It always feels like they will catch up to you, and it's down to luck how long you live.
Well,
Yeah, past me is pretty much repeating what I think. This is a Namco arcade game where you are in a maze and you drive around, pick up these flags, and avoid enemies that chase you. It's just another maze game. However, you can actually stun enemies with smoke screens at the cost of fuel, so it does not feel nearly as hopeless as the Packer did. Though, yeah, this is also an interesting game in the sense that it's one of the first with bonus stages, and with a continuously playing background music, which is sort of nice. Me and all my homeboys listening to the Rally X OST. Besides that, this game also features the special flag, which has made an Easter egg style appearance in future Namco game. Now, for the actual game, like I said before, it's extremely meh. You know, it's kind of exciting and fun, but I just don't know the strategy for avoiding the red cars, like, long enough to make it past the level, or and I really don't know how to make them crash either, so it really hasn't clicked for me. This is one of those games where it feels like it's much better than Pac-Man, at least conceptually, and it gives me a lot more tools, but I just don't know how to game the system, and that's why I don't like it. It just feels like Pac-Man, where I'm just driving around until I die. If I knew how to play, I might actually like it more, but I gave this over half an hour of gaming, and for an arcade game, that's long, at least for me. And yeah, I just couldn't do it. I kind of dislike it, as I've done with a lot of maze chase games. But I will give the game credit where credit is due. The sound and visual combo is real nice, that being not horrible, which is a crazy standard to fill in this time period. Anywho, D tier. Number 13, Phoenix. And from the dead, the phoenix rises like a phoenix. Yay! Another slop space shooter by Tato. There are 5 stages that repeat endlessly, and the 5th stage is against the spaceship. That's right, this is the thing that makes this one special. This is one of the first shooters with a boss battle, a concept that everyone is familiar with nowadays, but in this time period there was no real concept of a boss fight, really. So, as for the game itself, it's audiovisually more pleasing than its predecessors, I'll say that much. I mean, I feel like the presentation in these games has gotten better over time. I like the faster shooting of the gun, and that you have a shield that kind of works. But at the end of the day, it's really just another fixed shooter, shoot 'em up game. Iterative and kind of fresh, yeah, but it isn't anything super crazy. And just like with most of these shoot 'em up games, I will not repeat myself for the millionth time. My problems are the same as I are with many of these others, and the game doesn't do enough good that it feels like that I like it. I suck. Yeah, I did here. Yeah, real talk though. Seeing how much I dislike this genre of shoot 'em ups, I think I'll tone down the amount of them I keep playing. In the coming years, more and more games from other genres are coming out. So you won't see these games anymore. At least not as much. The ones that I will keep playing are ones that feel interesting enough to try out, or ones that I've already played before in 2024 or 2025. Number 12, Circus Atari. Welcome back, Circus, from episode 1. Yeah, that's a fucking throwback. I did not cover this game, or if I did, I don't remember. It's been a year or something. I've forgotten. But anyway, this is a 3-year-old game at this point. But I did not get the original to work, or for some reason I preferred this one. Whatever it was, I played this version, which is basically an Atari-developed clone of the Circus game for the 2600. Funny. Now I have no proof. I just can't prove it. But this game feels like bullshit. The varying paddle speed and how you change it in an emulator makes this so much harder. It feels like the guy will go through the board sometimes, and it doesn't feel good. The sounds are horrible, the visuals are not pretty. This sounds like a disaster, like an F tier, right? Well, in the end, gameplay is most often the most important thing in games. And here we have gameplay that is held back by old game jank and visual shitness, but the core of it is fun, and when the game is fun, it got amongst the other D tier games so far, and jumps right into the C tier or even higher above. However, I can't deny the jankiness and bugginess of the game. I flip-flopped a lot on this, but I think I'll consider it a D tier game.
Number 11, Polaris.
Here we have another secretly OP Tato-made arcade game, Polaris. Except, yep, I fucked up. I played the 2600 version that was ported by Tiger Vision in 1983. Well, so why isn't this in the 1983 version? Well, because I'm fucking lazy and I don't want to change scripts anymore and change the numbers in these rankings. So we're treating this as the 1980 version. Yahoo. I think this game does some cool things while also being a sloppy shooter. There are multiple threats in multiple directions, but you are only limited to firing vertically. I like how this game has multiple different gameplay styles where you fight normally in a stage and when you transition between levels it changes like so. I feel like the main section is rather monotone, however, and not super engaging. The sounds can get rather aggressive and loud, but I don't hate this game. In fact, compared to everything before, and even compared to other Atari 2600 visuals, I find this actually somewhat nice. I definitely do get annoyed with this game, and I hate some of the scrolling screen jank and hitboxes, like I do with a lot of these games. So, since my experience is kind of all over the place, I think it's fine. I do believe that this game has crossed the border legally and has become a naturalized citizen of the sea tier. Number 10, Fishing Derby. Now this fishing! Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. A 1980 fishing game. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. Past me, run it by us. Tell us how good this game is.
Well, I really wanna like this game. I just feel like the AI is bullshit. The shark only hangs around your line, and I don't like that you can't reel in the line when another player is reeling. And that the AI isn't challenged at all and gets the fish immediately. I feel like it's really awkward trying to get a fish to catch onto the hook. Well,
now, if you're astute, you might notice that I played this against the AI in the past, because I have no friends. However, recently I did play this with a friend, and, well, it doesn't change my opinion too much, but I'm not as harsh on it when you play against a human, since the shark does feel like it hangs around the other player as well. When you play against the AI, it really does feel like the shark camps you, the player, but when you play against another human, it does not feel like that. But yeah, if you want a game that really tries to rage bait you, check this one out. Activision really cooked for the 2600 here. Basically, you and the computer or another player race to get the most fish the fastest, and the shark acts as this sort of environmental threat that eats your fish. So how does a game like this super rage bait you? Like I mentioned, the shark is super territorial, and once that fucker has picked a spot, he won't leave. And the fish hooking mechanics are so inconsistent. Like, sometimes you need the line to hit the mouth, the body, and sometimes nothing works. Sometimes the fish just sails past it. It's super annoying. It feels awful. But it's still a fun game, kind of. And that's the most important part, really. It's a fun little casual fishing game that isn't too serious. And actually, for an Atari 2600 game, this too actually looks good. And, even relatively speaking, sounds good. In the end, I can feel it's a fine, okay C-tier game. With a friend, you might argue it's a B-tier, but I'm not gonna entertain that thought. Number 9, Space Panic. What you're looking at is one of the first platformers, and a game with a concept similar to the future game Lode Runner. So this game was made by Universal for the arcades, and it kind of bombed in North America, but Apple Panic from 1981 just kind of ran with this concept and did much better commercially. This game is just, well, it's kind of a progenitor to many of the platformers that would come after, and just like with Hey Kyo Alien, it's one of the first digging games. It's kind of crazy how similar it is to Lode Runner, actually. It's super easy to see where the devs of Lode Runner and the other digging games got their inspiration from. But yeah, Lode Runner itself is already kind of a janky mess, and that's in the future. So it's no surprise that this is that, but double it. There is so much slowness and jank, but I still enjoyed my time with this game, kind of. It also makes the wise decision to stay completely silent instead of bleeding my ears and causing me to have a premature heart attack. Though that silence is sometimes ruined when you win a stage with more of those old game sounds that haunt me in my nightmares. Lovely. I love this installment of the Mandela catalog. Anyway, just like how I love Load Runner's idea and gameplay, though that's kind of a spoiler, I do love this game for the same reasons. But since in execution this is just a much worse performing and controlling game, this is only a C tier. If it worked as well as those future games, I'd give it a higher ranking though. Number 8. Adventure. Talking about famous rascals, this is probably among the top 5 most famous games from this year, if not the most famous. Well, one of them. Adventure, made by Atari for the 2600. It's insanely popular, sold a lot, and it's a very influential game, since it's one of the first fantasy action-adventure video games. And in a way, the namesake for the action-adventure genre, kind of, though, well, this game was conceived by trying to make a graphical version of Colossal Cave Adventure, and the adventure genre got its name from adventure, the Colossal Cave Adventure. Adventure features some other cool first things in gaming, like being one of the first games with Easter eggs, such as the developer's own hidden room, this one. It's also one of the first open world games, like Superman from the previous year. Well, at least however you want to define open world. In the game, you basically move around this map and find on-map items to open doors and progress, or to kill monsters until you find trophies. And how difficult this process is depends on the difficulty you can select. And you know, games that have difficulty modes, I generally like that. It's fun. Now, I respect this game a lot. The gameplay is kind of mediocre though. At least, well, let's be real here. It's just moving around the screen and picking up items and bringing them to places. It's nothing too special. However, for what it pioneered, I think it's pretty great. Well, I think that in level 1 the game is super easy, while in level 3 it gets extremely hard, even on the easiest difficulty. So yeah, personally the presentation or gameplay don't really draw me in too much, but I do find this game pretty interesting. When the monsters start moving, it gets simultaneously super annoying and exciting, and it kind of keeps me playing. And it really does kind of have that sense of adventure, like you are on a treasure hunt, which you literally are on. So yeah, I'm largely ambivalent towards this game, but I can imagine if I was born much earlier and was a kid experiencing this would have been an S tier game. But now it's more of an ass tier game, so it gets C. Maybe if it clicked, it could be B tier. Number 7, Rogue. Well, speaking of ambivalence. This here is a freely distributed executable for the Unix-based microcomputers. It's a dungeon-crawling roguelike game. Or should I call it a roguelike when it's literally what the whole genre is after? Well, you know, that's right. This right here is the progenitor of one of the most popular genres in gaming. You are this small pixel, and you navigate this dungeon full of fog of war. You can find loot, enemies, and the loot and items help your chances of winning fights. It's turn-based, and the combat is basically just running into other colored pixels which represent enemies. And after that, it's completely random what happens to you, at least in my experience. For my opinion on the game itself, it's really so unapproachable. It's fine, but it's not really that great. I mean, it has a surprisingly big learning curve. And the clunkiness of the controls really don't help the experience at all. I don't know how to do anything really. I've read the manuals and instructions, but I still keep dying constantly. And I really can't reproduce all of the controls of the 80s computer on my modern Finnish keyboard, at least not completely. And all of this just leads to kind of a mess that is at best just kind of good. So yeah, maybe I'm just kind of a hater for this game. But since I'm kind of impressed by the game, I think it balances out to something in the C tier. Number 6, Zork.
Move bar. Move bar.
well, would you look at this? Another fucking text adventure. Just to be clear, I'm not contradicting my previous statements. This is another game that I played, I think, way back. It might have been early 2024 even. It's a rare exception of a text adventure I am actually willing to try again in this current year. But that's only because I had a companion to play with. Now, this is definitely one of the most iconic text-adventure games, and definitely one of Infocom's most iconic games. And it actually originated in the late 70s, and I might have mentioned that in the first video, or the second episode. But the full version was released for personal computers only in this year. Before this was kind of a school terminal project. Anyway, in this game you essentially just go and explore a vast underground land in search of treasure, interact with dozens of locations and items, and just go from there. The game has this pretty comfy writing. It's almost zany and in this sort of 80s comic book style humor. And you know what? It's kind of fun in this. I don't know if it's funny, but it's kind of fun in that sense. This game was a massive success, with all 3 episodes selling more than 680,000 copies by 1986. Like, it was positively reviewed, and retroactively, its impact on the MUD and MMORPG genres has been acknowledged. Some even claimed that it's one of the most important video games of all time, and I in a way, I can see it. I mean, it is most likely the most well-known interactive fiction and text-adventure game. It's probably not the most well-known adventure game, but it's probably one of the most well-known text-adventure games. Now, the game itself. I have a lot of things to say. Probably more than for any other game on this list combined. So I'll start with some of the positives that I've already hinted at. This game has very strong personality that really helps to elevate it from the other adventure games that I've played. I wouldn't say it's like laugh out loud funny, but the geek 80s comic book style humor, it definitely leaves an impression. And with the narrator having such a strong personality, it makes descriptions and such way more memorable than earlier text adventure games. And the almost satirical and parodifying narration, it's fun. It's also way more fair and clear than most other adventure games. It tells you what you can't do, it allows you to experiment, it allows you to recover lost items upon death, it doesn't punish you for everything like some later games made by Infocom themselves. The parser also feels surprisingly good, like it allows sort of a lot of things, not a lot, but more than other text adventures. Overall, Zork has a very strong start in that sense, and there's also the fact that you can just draw the map for the world yourself because you have no visuals. And when you figure out the interconnectedness and even the fucking eldritch nature that it really isn't interconnected and doesn't really make sense, it gives this unique sense of place to the game. And even when it's this non-Euclidean map, it fits the vibe the game is going for. Overall, my experience with my compatriot was definitely A tier. It was peak when we were speculating together and discovering the map and thinking about puzzles and all. However, if you've been paying attention, you might notice I've been mentioning it was good at the start. Because once you are forced into that fucking maze, and once you begin running into that fucking thief, the game plummets in quality. After that point, and after the fucking dam, the obtuseness and the fuck you game design rears its ugly head, and it becomes such a fucking pain to play. The thief can just steal critical items from you, and you are fucked. Navigating the maze to the correct place is totally impossible without a guide or 10 hours of gameplay. And overall, the game just feels like it begins to hate you when you lose items and get soft logged. Yeah. Even so, this game left a really strong impression on me, and if I was more patient, I would have definitely liked the game even later on. I strongly suspect that writing is not gonna plummet in quality itself. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a B tier. It's almost an honorary B tier, because it really wasn't a B tier experience, but think of this as a swan song for the text adventure genre. Because from this point, I will not be playing any new text adventures. And the ones you see are ones I've played in my dark past. Going into the top 5, number 5, Star Quest, Rescue at Rigel. It's the star. Look familiar? Well, that's because this is another automated simulations, or, well, epics game, built on the same engine as the Temple of Apshahai. But the important factor here is that this is much better. This game is a sci-fi RPG, where you have to save 10 hostages in a 60-minute time limit. You can only see around you and have to navigate the whole base room by room, fighting aliens and the game's fuck-ass controls. I mean, what the fuck is this? The gameplay is extremely similar to the Temple of Apshahai, but it's a bit different this time. You need to transport the civilians using this beam, and you also have a gun that can kill any monsters, but it has a limited charge. If you use that up, you are limited to less than stellar ways of fighting. But when you go deeper into the fort, you gain opportunities to get better weapons. So, yeah. Overall, it's surprisingly fun and surprisingly smooth experience, at least compared to its sister game, the Temple of Apshahai. I'm very impressed, in a way. And since I'm new at the game, I have nothing to complain about on that aspect. The visuals are something I really don't like, but it is what it is. If I consider the core concept and gameplay, they are kind of fun. And since the controls are sort of responsive, even if they are whatever the fuck they are, even if I dislike them, yeah, it's kind of fun. Moving around in this kind of system with each direction and step and action being its own key is really exhausting, and I can't wait when this trend finally dies sometime in the 90s probably. Especially since I have to figure out what button does what, and since the old computer keyboards and my current one aren't the same, and I really can't map the keyboards easily in the methods I play, so... Jank! So much jank and exhausting things. Without reading the manual also, you really can't intuit what to do either. How much of a knock against this game that is, well, that's up to you, because games in this time, they did not have space for tutorials or stuff like that, so the manual was basically essential and part of the gaming experience in these more complicated games. In any case, I feel with this game, if I revisited it again and figure out more about it, I can see it would get better. It feels like a C-tier experience, but since I'm feeling generous now, since it's super old, I'll give it a B for the benefit of the doubt, since, I feel like if I play more, I'm gonna like it more. Number 47, Tank Battalion. Psst, let's keep this a secret as well, but I actually played the SG-1000 port. Why? Because I couldn't get a fucking working arcade version. But it looks basically the same, so I'll treat it as the same game. So anyway, yeah. This shebang is a port of a Namco arcade game where you are a tank in a maze with other tanks. It's free for all, and your goal is to keep your flag intact. If the enemy fires at it, you die. If the enemy fires at you, you die. And you have to destroy all enemies to progress in levels. And surprisingly enough, I like this game! I actually genuinely like this game without too many reservations, like all of the previous games. I actually like it! The first game I like! Yeah, I like the gameplay here. It's difficult, but it feels largely fair and enjoyable. And the visuals are fine, it's solid, and while it's not my first game to come back to, especially since some of the turning around and firing kinda feels clunky, I can see myself coming back to it again. I've already done it once or twice. The sounds are good as well, kind of, but I don't know about the original arcade version sound, so take that as you will. Anyway, this game is our first certified B tier. Number 3, Boxing. Have you ever heard of a game that is just pure fun and nothing else? Well, that's this right here. Past me, run it by. Is it sloppy? Yes. Is it simple with no intricacies? Well, a little. Yeah. Is it brain rot? Kinda. But is it actually just fun? Hell to the yes. Funnest experience so far. Well, yep, that's not a misinput. I actually wrote the same review for boxing and skiing. I don't know why. What kind of twisted joke was at play there, but I did. It's one of the first Activision games. The game is a black and white dude going at it. 2 boxers, swinging fists. Yeah, it's just that. You just whack and whack and whack at your opponent. It's either an AI or another player. These long punches give you 1 point, and if you're really close and hit really close punches, you get 2 points per hit. There are no knockdowns, you just keep smashing each other until one player reaches 100 punches. or 2 minutes pass and it's a decision and the one with more score wins. I mean, the gameplay is extraordinarily simple, but there are actually some quirks to it. Like, you can get an enemy to the ropes, so they can't back out anymore, and there is this kind of juggle you can do with your character, which results in an insane connecting combo of alternating punches. It's kind of fun. Honestly, this is kind of a goated game. It's very simple. The sounds are very simple, which is super good for the Atari. Like, don't try to do anything crazy. It's so much fun. I really like this game. However, it just isn't that much to it. And its visual presentation isn't the best either, and it doesn't really click on the same level for me as the two above it. So yeah, so it doesn't go above B tier, but it's a solid B tier. And very fun. And coming in with the silver trophy, second place, number 2, Missile Command. Honestly, this was a way more fun of a game than I remembered it being. The Command of Missiles is an Atari game made for the arcade. However, I also played the 2600 version. It's one of the classics of the time, and a showcase of how the Cold War affected the culture of the time. It was a big instant hit in arcades and became one of the best-selling games of the year. Like, it's a game where you have 6 cities and control a missile defense system, trying to protect the cities from falling ICBMs during a nuclear war. New weapons and stuff are introduced as the game progresses, and that way the difficulty also escalates as they get faster and there are different types of missiles. The way you intercept missiles is by launching counter missiles at your appointed spot, and you have multiple different buttons for different spots that fire missiles at different angles. And you need to time it just right, or else the city is gone. And as the time goes on, new stuff is unlocked, the difficulty rises like I said. However, inevitably you will lose at some point. So the game does not have an objective really. It's a score-based game. In the arcade version, the game over screen is actually the end, which is, you know, kind of meta, harrowing, however you want to say it. Now, I did not originally play the arcade version, like I said. I only played the 2600 version. However, this one, I don't think it's as good as the one in the 2600 version, since this one feels more brutal. I feel like the 2600 one has... the visual presentation is not as clean, not as cool, but it has a gentler difficulty curve, which feels better. And it has more options game modes, it feels better. However, this one has aura. Wait, this just in. Past me. He wants to yap? What is it? Yeah, it kinda sucks. It's fun. I like it. It's basically point your crosshair and shoot the type of game while beep-beep-beep-beep-poo. It's nice. But sometimes your guns just stop firing, and I don't know why. Yeah, kinda shit. Well, holy fuck, what a way to rage bait me. There's literally an ammo counter right there past me. You run out of fucking missiles because you just keep firing blindly. Fuck. Oh, yeah, well, I can say something. It's definitely not shit. It's the opposite of shit. So fuck you past me. I know how the game works now, and I think it's so interesting. You have to follow the trajectories of the missiles and try to keep everything alive. It has this tension that gets progressively harder and more tense, but it still feels functional and good. Like, it feels fun. And the sounds actually don't suck in either version. The first one, ladies and gentlemen. It's fast, cool, simple, but it works. And for an Atari, the 2600 game has so little jank that it's actually surprising. It really clicks with me, and this definitely is the best game so far. It's just missing good presentation, a better difficulty curve, and a few other quality of life things, perhaps. Regardless, for simplicity's sake, I will treat both this and the 2600 version as A-tier games, even if this arcade version is closer to a B. Now, what's on the top spot? Well, the Golden Trophy, number 1 of 1980. It's... Star Castle. Well, would you look at it? Look at that. Somehow a space shoot 'em up became my favorite game of the year. But it's actually secretly OP this time. Like, I love this game. This is a space shooter made by Cinematronics for the arcades, which was received quite well in the time. Anyway, the game. You are a ship, and you need to destroy this turret in the center of the screen. However, the turret has these energy shields guarding it, and you need to destroy them to get to the turret. The turret fires projectiles at you as you try to do this that track you, and once they hit you, you die. However, you can travel from the right to the left, from the up to the down, and you can use this to your advantage to trick the projectiles and the turret. And the goal is essentially to just make a hole in the shields before the hole repairs, which happens if you destroy one of the rings completely. So basically, your goal is to make a small hole in the defense and shoot through it. However, there is a catch to this. As if you make the hole in the energy shields, this gives the turret a clear line of sight to you. And once it has that, it shoots a fucking Biden blast at you and wipes you off the face of the universe. And if you're not prepared for it and know it's coming, you're fucking dead. You can't dodge it. It comes so fast. I mean, you probably can. I just have the reflexes of a 70-year-old. Now, once you get to the turret, you explode it, a new level begins, and the projectiles shot by the turret get faster. Now, in my opinion, conceptually, it's fun. And I kinda like the gameplay. But I kinda hate it too, it's super annoying. I'm still on the fence and need to play it more, and psych, that was past me! What does current me think? Well, I've done my time, and like I've said before, I had an insane switch up. The reason why I left that part in the review was because, holy shit. At first I really didn't like this game, but then I fell in love. I've been obsessed and tackled it over and over again, way more than most games I cover in these videos. It is without a shadow of a doubt the best game in this series so far. It would be a crime for me to put it any lower than A tier. What a year, am I right? Yep, that marks the end of 1980, and I've noticed something. Over time, the quality of games have actually increased. And this year is special in that regard as well, as this marks the first time that A tier games have appeared on the list. And the amount of B tier games has increased as well. And even the amount of games in the lowest 2 tiers has decreased. Like, it actually does seem like gaming is getting better. However, I have also been cutting off genres and specific game types that dominated the lower tiers, so that definitely affects this. Nevertheless, this was 1980, and I'd say it left me positively surprised. And although in its own macabre sense, I am kind of sad with leaving the 70s, the 80s are off to such a strong start. In its, well, kind of, as much as retro games can be, that I can't help but be hopeful for the future. Like, there are some very cool games coming later on in the decade that I can't wait to try out, and I also have some unfinished business mixed in together with them. Next time, we enter 1981, the year Donkey Kong comes out. The golden age of arcade video games really begins to hit its peak boom. Foundational computer RPGs come out, and some new hardware begin a legacy that continues to this day. I really hope you enjoyed 1980, and see you in 1981 once more, future me.